A few months ago, I knew almost nothing about sim racing. Now it's one of my favorite hobbies. My name is Konstantin and this is my sim racing journey. Throughout my life, I never really followed motorsport. When I was a kid, I once tried watching Formula 1, but after a while I remember thinking it was kind of boring for me at the time. GT racing completely passed me by. There were also a few moments in childhood when I went rental karting just for fun on weekends, but I never even thought about taking it seriously. When I got older, I became more interested in drift culture. When you are a young guy, you want to show some style on the street. Eventually, I bought my first GDM car, a rear-wheel drive turbo Nissan. I absolutely loved that car because I had been planning to buy it for almost 2 years. In many ways, it was already a perfect car for drifting, but the car was in such good condition for its age that I was honestly afraid to crash it. Most of the time, I just cruised in the evenings and worked on the car in my garage. For me, it was a kind of therapy. I could admire it, work on it, and simply enjoy the fact that I finally bought the car I had dreamed about. After a while, I realized that I barely drove it at all. So I decided to sell it to someone who would actually use it the way it was meant to be used. After selling the car, I slowly drifted away from the automotive world and stopped following drifting completely. A few years later, I became one of those people who got pulled into the wave of Formula 1 hype on social media. Posts, edits, race highlights, and the dominance of Max Verstappen. At some point I started following Formula 1 more seriously. With all the media around it, race broadcast, edits, and of course the series from Formula 1, Drive to Survive, you naturally want to dive deeper into that world. That's when I started learning about sim racing, especially because Max Verstappen talks about it a lot and even actively use it to train.
I can wake up in the middle of the night with some ideas and I do need to test it. Like I cannot wait for it.
So then what do?
Wake up and turn on the simulator.
Like at 2 o'clock in the morning or something?
I've done that, yeah.
Yeah, but you need to sleep at the same time.
Well,
Yeah, but I also need to go faster, so
that's true.
you can sleep when you're dead.
So I did some research. I looked into beginner hardware, different simulators, and eventually decided that I wanted to try it myself. I chose to start with GT racing and bought a Moza R3 bundle together with ACC, but I quickly ran into my first problem. Building a setup around a regular gaming chair is not exactly ideal compared to a proper cockpit, and the rubber feet on the pedals didn't help either. After every brake press, the pedal slowly moved away from me. After a little brainstorming, I realized what I needed. PPSS, a professional pedal support system. You might think it's some expensive piece of sim racing hardware, but no, it's this. Now I thought I was ready for some serious racing. After all, I know how to drive a car in real life, right? How hard could racing really be? So I jumped straight into the BMW M4 GT3 and selected the legendary Nürburgring Nordschleife. And honestly, I think nobody has ever collected that many barriers in a single lap. After a few attempts just trying to finish a clean lap, I decided that maybe I should start with something a little easier. My main track became Circuit de Spa. After doing some research, I realized that it was actually a great track to start with. It has many different types of corners and racing situations that are useful for learning. At first I used the in-game racing line to learn the track, but after watching a few videos online explaining that racing line can actually slow down your learning process, I decided to turn it off. Without it, I started looking further down the track and using reference points instead of just following a line. I studied braking points, corner entry points, minimum speed and gears for different corners. For this I used a service called Track Titan and their onboard lap videos. At the moment my best lap time at Spa at 2:22.147 in ideal conditions with BMW. Eventually I felt like I had hit a temporary limit with hot lapping, so I decided to mix up my training a bit. I started joining 30 minutes online races at Spa, and honestly the experience is about 50-50. There are some really fast drivers, but there are also drivers who seems ready to take out half the grid in the first corner. So I set a different goal for myself. Not victory, but consistency, awareness and patience. You might think that with that mindset winning is impossible, but the reality is that in most races there are already 5 drivers who are simply faster than me. My usual qualifying position is somewhere between P5 and P10, and even if I push at full attack, my pace just can't match theirs yet. But one evening something interesting happened. During one of the races I followed my strategy: stay calm, keep distance, avoid risky fights. Sometimes I let aggressive drivers go if I felt they were dangerous, and slowly things started happening. Drivers ahead of me made mistakes, went off track, or got taken out while fighting each other. Meanwhile, I just kept driving my own race, lap after lap, and by the end of the race I finished P3. Yes, it was just a public lobby podium, but it was my first success against real people, not AI and not just a lap timer. After that, I decided it would be a good idea to learn more tracks. I started doing this through the career mode. I turned off all assist except the racing line, because for completely new tracks it still helps me get up to speed faster. And I quickly realized something interesting. All those hours spent practicing at Spa actually paid off. Even on completely new tracks, I was able to drive consistently and avoid major mistakes. So far, I've driven most of the base tracks in the game and tried several cars including the BMW, Porsche and Mercedes. My next goal is to buy all the DLCs for ACC and start racing in ranked championships on LFM. I never expected that I would spend so much time in a racing simulator, but somehow it became a kind of therapy for me. When you're driving your virtual car on your favorite track, you stop thinking about problems or the world around you. You just live in the moment, and for a few moments you actually feel like a racing driver. Thanks for watching my video. This is my first experience on YouTube, so would really appreciate your feedback in the comments. And if you enjoyed the video, consider subscribing to the channel. See you in the next races.